All right, welcome to the Online SuperCoach podcast. Today we have Paul Meldrum. He's the owner of Meldrum Performance Coaching. He was a recipient of the Clinical Excellence Award, and he's also a former Personal Trainer of the Year. So that's pretty incredible. I really want to ask questions about that. But before we begin, is there a phrase or a mantra that really inspires you and gets you kind of going?
Yep, I got two. So the first one is "Be Legendary." It's what the late great Kobe Bryant wrote on a pair of Devin Booker's, the basketball player for the Phoenix Suns, his sneakers, as a way to get him going, to keep him working, towards something that's worthwhile. And then also a lyric from a Kendrick Lamar song, "Sing About Me, I'm Dying at First." The lyric is, "Did I put enough work in?" And
Nothing.
it's a good reminder that at the end of each thing that I do, client I work with, presentation I give, did I put enough work in? Did I give it my best shot?
That's great. Those are both equally great. Like obviously be legendary, and you just got to constantly self reflect if you're really putting that legendary type of effort in on a day-to-day basis on everything you've done. And also on the second one, it's all about self-reflection and just am I doing enough? So I think that's all great.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Um, so before we go into everything else, I just curious, how does one become personal trainer of the year?
Cool. So I was working in Fitness First at the time, which is the commercial gym chain in Australia. At the time, it was the biggest gym chain, probably the only gym chain in the country. We didn't have 24-hour fitnesses and things like that. And it was my second year in the fitness industry, and it came about. My gym had no trainers in it. Like there was literally no competition. So one of the trainers had passport membership, so they could go to gym to gym to gym to gym. And he won the 2001 Trainer of the Year award. And I basically said International Trainer of the Year through PT on the net. And when I saw that on his little profile board, which we had back in the day before the internet,
Yeah.
I said, "Look, I need you to teach me. You've obviously done a lot, and I need to be as good as you." That was basically my viewpoint. So I interned with this guy 2 times a week at a cost of about a third of my wage, to learn everything, or third of my earnings to learn what he could do. And because I interned with him, the management uh, staff of the gym basically got me to train every client that he would normally train. So people that were really injured, people with incredibly complex issues. And the thing that kind of ticked it off was took this client from 110 kilos to 55 kilos, from three bulging discs to deadlifting 100 kilos for reps, to high blood pressure to low blood pressure, diabetic to type 2 diabetes, to being totally free of diabetes. And Fitness First ended up using it for their national advertising for about 3 months, this client's transformation. So because she had such an elite transformation, that was kind of like, and I was responsible for 3 months of the franchise, the whole country's marketing, that kind of pushed me over the edge. So it was a combination of numbers of people with really complex situations that most people weren't working with, which I had to put enough work in and every single night to figure out what the hell I had to do. And that person's awesome results that got me there.
That is incredible. That's an incredible story. So it's not just being in the right place at the right time, but it's also you putting all that work in of really working on a lot of the complex clients, like you said, and having the hindsight, the foresight to invest a third of your income in just in really more education. I mean, how many people would
Yeah.
do that? And how old were you when, if you don't mind me asking, when around that time?
22 or 23.
How many 22-year-olds are willing to invest one third of what they're making to invest in themselves and invest in more and further their education? So that is really, I think, a major reason why you set yourself up for success is really what I got out of that. That's really terrific. So what got you started in fitness in the first place?
Cool. So I got started. School, I was good at school, but I didn't, love it as such. So I kind of just cruised by, like improvised every single class I kind of did. And when I finished school, I was like, I didn't want to go to uni straight away. I had the marks to get into uni, but I didn't want to chase anything and be stuck there for 4 years and then go to a job that I hated. So I kind of did a gap year where I just worked, partied, played, and I liked going to the gym. So I thought I may as well learn how to do it better. And worst case scenario is I can do it for a bit of casual work, get paid some money, and you know, be okay. And then when I actually I did the course, passed it. It was a very easy course, the Cert 3, Cert 4 in Australian fitness, which is now only like a 6-week course down under, which is crazy. I actually hired that guy as my trainer, my first mentor. So I figured if I'm going to train people as a possibility, I may as well get trained anyway. I
Yeah.
may as well actually experience what it is. So I'm not going in there and just doing what I think is right. I should probably do something that I know is better. So when he did his first assessment with me, I had like a bung shoulder from, doing ridiculously high volume bench pressing and stupid shit like that. And he assessed me and I was like, I don't know anything this guy knows. Um, what the hell is he doing? I had no idea what was going on. So from there, I basically said, I need to know this because this is way more complex than what I thought it could ever possibly be. That's me being young and naive at the time. So as soon as I kind of like that clicked, that it was actually something very complex, and like in 2 weeks I was pain free, I was benching, setting PBs, etc. I was like,
Oh,
this is cool. Let's dive into this as hard as we can because this is something that I would like to be able to do for other people. So
that's
it's kind
super
of like I got into it by default, and then it became something I became very passionate about.
because he was able to turn it around. You saw like, wow, this is like a magic trick. This is like how
Yeah.
it would work. That's really incredible. I mean, when I was your age, that age at that time, I was working at a restaurant and I like to try all of the different, you know, things on the menu, for the same reason. But mine was a lot easier to do. You had the harder work of really learning all of the actually doing the work and exercising and everything. So that's they're putting a lot more work in, and that's significantly more difficult. Um, so another thing I wanted to talk about is your online part of your business. So this is Online SuperCoach, and a lot of
Yep.
our listeners are they're already online or looking to go online or thinking of going online. So I guess at some point you originally were all in person, and at some point you decided to maybe transition to doing some online. So I just wanted you to maybe tell that part of the story of your chapter of your life of how you kind of went towards online.
Yeah, of course. So basically, PT, commercial gym, 3 years left because I burnt out. Then individually did it like going to people's houses, parks, etc. Then moved into having my own small studio because I also did musculoskeletal therapy. So I did a lot of rehabilitation work, like
Yeah.
physiotherapy type stuff. And I had a small, like literally as big as the office I'm in now, which my background is blurred because it looks terrible in the background. But basically, like a small treatment room, and people were asking, well, what exercise do I do? I was like, well, I know how to do that. Um, so I decided to expand in size. Guess I double it so I could actually train people, get some dumbbells and some equipment. And then I moved into the North Shore of Sydney, found a bigger room, got this guy to split rent with me. We ended up moving together into a semi-private model. So we were doing semi-private training back like, oh man, back when Alan Cosgrove first talked about it, like a long time ago. We just kind of jumped on board like straight away. And then we ended up with a gym that was the size of a commercial gym that did all semi-private training. So we were doing 400 PT members, um, and no gym access. It's all personal training. So it was like a lot to handle.
That's amazing.
And what we'd find is, yeah, it was cool. It was very cool. It was very stressful. What we found was, if clients left, and the area we were in Sydney, we were in North Sydney. So in Australia, North Sydney is kind of like a fly in, fly out type corporate area. So it's very transient workforce. So we were like, all right, cool. People are leaving. What the hell do we do? Like, how do we not lose that money? And a long time ago, we got introduced to an app called Team Builder, which is a strength and conditioning software, more so than anything else. And we were using that because it worked perfectly for the gym because we could divide people into streams. So like a strength stream, a fat loss, a muscle gain, and a beginner, like an on-ramping. And we are like, why don't we just sell it online? Record the exercises, YouTube it, and then put on YouTube, add it to the program, and then people travel or leave, they can just do this. We literally did it so we didn't lose money.
Right.
That was it. It was like, okay, it's ridiculous that people are coming to us and they might only come here once or twice a week. They're still going to do other stuff, or they're going away on holidays, or they're moving. It's ridiculous that they're going to train with someone else when our methods work really well for them. So we started doing that all the way back then. And then before COVID, like about a year before COVID, we sold the gym anyway. So that was cool. So that was lucky before everything got locked down. And I was just doing like kind of like a little bit of I guess subcontracting in gyms where I'd still do the same semi-private model, like train 30 people in the morning, go home, and that was kind of like my day. And the rest of my time was work developing online content for educating PTs on how to be good at their job. I do a lot of PT education and upskilling. And basically when the lockdown actually had hit, with all the clients I was working with, I was tired anyway. I was already had them like 60% online, 40% in person. So as soon as we got locked down that Monday, because Monday in Australia we got locked down, it was by Tuesday everyone was online, all their systems were set up and good to go. So I
Sure.
was always planning it. I was always planning on going online as soon as I saw it was an option. And like for me, it makes absolutely no sense for any trainer, even like for in person as well, to not have an online option.
Right.
It's Your clients are going to leave you at some point because people do move, people have work requirements that make them all over the place. If you're not doing online training as a major part of your business model, even if you do like in person, like I still like in person work, I just don't want to do it 40 hours a week. Um, if you don't have online training or a hybrid half online, half in person model, you're leaving so much money on the table and you're not doing your clients an adequate service.
Absolutely.
I think you need to have it to actually make this into a career as well.
That's absolutely incredible. So necessity is the mother of invention. That could have been another one of the quotes.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So many people we interview, usually it's not based on, they just identified like, this being like a losing part of the segment of their business, and they, like you did, and you wanted to try to figure out a way to fix that and have it going forward. So a lot of people, don't do that. They're doing it for other reasons. They want to, scale their business personally. They want more time back. They want to get their time back, so they're not, on that daily grind and training, like you said, 40 clients a week. Those are all the traditional reasons, but you really did it based on even more of a like foresight. You're really looking ahead of like, just like, how can we stop losing this kind of business? And so that's really incredible. And then the fact that you already had the entire infrastructure already set up pre-COVID enabled you to go 100% really the
Yeah.
next day. That's like absolutely, that's terrific. That's really, really amazing that you were able to scale it that quickly. So you said it was 60-40 pre-COVID. What is your percentage of your business, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what is it now? Like, what do you think? Roughly.
Oh, like 95.5.
95.5. Amazing.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Like unfortunately, like as I said, it sounds terrible. Like a guy, he wants me to prep him for the Mardi Gras in Sydney, which is the gay and lesbian festival where there's floats, everyone's got their shirts off. He's got to do it as part of a corporate gig. He's got to do that. So he's asked me to prep him. He's asked, can he do online, but can I train him like 2-3 times a week in person up until that, because it's kind of cool. And I'm like, what, that's cool. I'm going to do that for you.
Yeah.
That's gonna be super fun. Something a little bit different as well. So that's probably made it like 93.8 or 93.7 at the moment. Sorry, to get my maths right. But most of the stuff, yeah, everyone comes online. So even if someone comes to me and they ask for in person, I push them back online regardless
Yeah.
after a period of time. And I do it with time availability. And I also do it with, you know, every kind of reason our client wants to train. I try and develop the online service to be actually a better quality service than what the in-person can possibly be.
So
And once people understand,
yeah, that's what I was just wanting to expand, elaborate more on that. Like, how do you sell them to go online? Like, what do you say to why is it better? Like, what, I mean, I know why it's better, but I'm asking, what do you say to that?
yeah. So with online, why it's better, like there's so many different reasons you can do it. The first thing is you need to identify why in-person is better, like where it can be better. And for form corrections and all that kind of stuff, it is better. You can teach someone to deadlift in real life much faster than you can online, and that's okay. There's nothing right or wrong with that. It just is what it is. It's reality. Um, if with online though, where can you provide? What can you do better? It's accountability. It's tracking. It's all these different metrics that actually make a difference. So in person is better for that 1 hour of the 144 in a week. Online is better for the other 143 hours a week versus that 1 hour. So if I'm in person, if I'm asking you about your sleep, if I'm following up and finding out how you're eating, where your macros are, what kind of things you need to start, stop, and continue in the next week to achieve towards your goals, you're not going to do any lifting. You're not going to get any workout in. So we may as well have a system that automates that for both the client and the trainer, so it's predictable. It fits into their schedule when they can actually, track their own results and their own accountability. And then if they do need, in-person stuff, you've got the option of doing two things. You can refer them to someone who you trust for a skills and technical session if they're, depending on location of the client, or you can do it yourself and send them off. So once I explain to people that it's not it's not this session that counts. It's 143 hours outside of the session that is going to push the needle in the right direction towards your goals. People, they kind of they answer the question for me. I use a framework in all my, I learned from my wife actually, on how I do all nutrition coaching, even staff coaching and management, called the SICK protocol. So specific, impact, change, or continue. And with that, I basically point out something, so specific. So what's going to give you better accountability? Having online access or 1 hour a week? Oh, and what's going to have online going to do for you? Well, you've got the app there with all the videos. You've got my nutrition plans on my app. I can ask you questions whenever I want and get an immediate, well, not an immediate response, and get a quick response. And how's that going to help you get better results? I'll get better accountability, better feedback. I'll know what I'm doing a lot faster. I feel more confident. I feel more autonomous. Cool. So what do you want to change or continue? Oh, I want to go online. So I want to keep seeing you in person. And once someone says all the reasons why online's better to me, and they've said it, it's not me just barking it at them. They go, oh, I guess I should go online. And then it's cheaper. So
it's cheaper for them.
It's cheaper for them. It's scalable for me, cheaper for them. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. There's so much to unpack there. I mean, especially the stuff you said. I lost my train of thought. Let's cut this part out.
The SICK protocol?
Yeah, yes. So could you just say that again one more time? What those the acronym?
Yep, I'll give you a little example too, using a food journal, because it's something that most online coaches use. So SICK is specific, what actually happened, impact, so how what difference it makes to you or what impact it has in your life, change or continue. What do you want to do different or stay the same? So if we look at the nutrition journal, is the easiest thing to use this for. And I use this for clients who are beginners to changing their diet and learning about how to eat right, rather than someone who's like knows how to track their macros to the gram. So we'll look at the food journal and we'll say, all right, Frank, notice that you're eating Doritos for breakfast, which is a real story from a client. They're having Doritos for breakfast. Can you tell me about that? And I just ask the client a question. So I just try and get some details of the specifics. And then I'll ask a bunch of questions on how it impacts their results right now. So cool. So tell me, how's eating Doritos for breakfast affect your focus throughout the day? Oh, it's terrible. Oh, what about your energy levels? Really bad. Do you get hungry after? Yeah, I'm starving like 3 hours later, so I need to eat something. And what happens to your diet then? Oh, I ate crap. Okay, cool. And how's your performance in the gym in the morning? Oh, I can't go. I'm too tired. How's your joints? They hurt. How's your sleep? Terrible. Blah, blah, blah. So you can basically ask as many questions as you can around how impactful that behavior is making, or that choice is making the rest of their life. And then you ask them simply, do you want to change or continue that? And if they want to continue that, sometimes that's okay. Like it might be a smoker, for example. They're changing their diet and they're starting to train, but they don't want to quit smoking yet. That's okay. One step at a time, and smoking's got more benefits than it has cost at the moment. With the change part, it allows the client to make the change, to actually choose the change and have some autonomy and some control of the situation. So then they feel like they're in control. And our job as a coach is simply to go, yeah, it's a great idea, and make, or say that's actually terrible. So they say, instead of Doritos for breakfast, they're going to, I don't know, have Macca's Fix Shakes, for McDonald's Fix Shakes, for example. We just guide them towards a slightly better option. And the client feels really cool because they've picked something that they can do, and they feel like they're making positive progress, and they often do. So that protocol, specific, impact, change, and continue, can be used in any kind of coaching environment, which is really, really simple to do. And it gives the client a framework where they realize the impact. It's always more impactful when you have that deep realization, rather than someone yells at you. Like if you know that, say you're in a relationship and you're always being a pain in the butt, right? You can be told that all day long, and then you don't listen, you just block it out. But then as soon as you realize, oh my God, I'm being a pain, I'm being absolutely useless, you change that behavior overnight. So it allows us to basically to shortcut that like longer term period of habit formation. Of course, the client has that deep realization where like, oh my God, I'm eating like a clown. They're going to change things really, really quickly then. They feel positive about it. So it's a really powerful coaching framework that I teach all the personal trainers online or in person that I work with.
Is this part of the onboarding process? Is this something you do in person, or is this like an automation that happens is this like part of the sale? Like, for instance, you're asking them these questions in the beginning and to how, like, not just close the sale, but learn more about them and to, really, get the client? Or is this something like after they are sold and they are buying with you and you're learning more information?
I can use it in both things. I use it in both situations. So I can use it. I normally use it most after they're sold. Because I work with a lot of online trainers, they talk to me a lot. They get annoyed at me because I don't do very much marketing and I don't do very much sell by chat and DMs. I get a lot of messages and calls where people or emails saying people want to train with me. So I'm very lucky, and
Oh, you're
that's
the
just
trainer of
because
the year. Of course, you get that.
yeah, it's very lucky. 18 years or 19 years of experience and practice in getting there. But when I do have someone who comes up, like I use that specific impact change continue as a way to deal with things in the sales call. Like, so someone says, if someone's like been a little bit skeptical about something, all right, cool. So how long has it been since you've exercised or whatever it is? And so they say 3 years. Oh, how's that impacting your energy levels, your ability to keep up with your kids, your this, your that? So basically in a sales consult, you can use that as a framework to go, all right, cool. You're making all these choices. You're not actually saying to the person, exercise is good to helping you keep up with your kids. They're saying it to you.
Yeah.
So with that framework, it takes it around from you're a salesperson. There's nothing, and I have nothing against sales. I think every conversation is a sales conversation because you're trying to sell people on the benefit or something.
Right.
It doesn't, even like in a relationship, like you're selling, hey, for dinner tonight, I think we should have chicken. It's rather than like telling the people what they need to have, it's actually asking them to tell you what they need, and you just sit there and go, "Cool. Do you want to stay the same, or do you want to change that?" I can be a catalyst for change, and it takes you away from someone in the client's eyes, from someone who just wants to make a buck and wants to make a sale, to someone who's actually asked some questions and cares and wants you to get an awesome result.
Right. Right. So is that an automated thing? Like, for instance, is like a questionnaire kind of go out to them automatically, or is it like an actual conversation you have each
Uh,
on?
sorry, sorry, my bad. So if I see their food diary or their food journal, and I see them doing something that I need to ask questions about or I need to sort out, I'll send like an email, text message, push notification. Yeah. In my check-in forms, I divide clients into level 1, 2, and 3. So one's beginners, all their changes need to be more habit-driven and emotional. Level 2 clients are like they follow a plan, stick to it. And a level 3 client is I tell you what to do. It's someone who's like prepping for stage, right? Like you don't tell a prepping for stage person, do you think you should change that? You kind of yell at them to do that.
Yeah.
It's your job. That's or someone who's like an elite athlete, whatever. For level 1s, I use in their check-ins, what do you need to start, stop, continue as a question that they answer automatically every single week because it gives them the autonomy to do that. So it's very similar to specific impact, change, or continue. It gives them a little bit more freedom than me just asking a particular question because they could find things that are actually holding them back as well. That's how I automate it.
It's interesting way that you have a very efficient process there. So you alluded to that you really do very little of any marketing, but I was just curious if you do, what is your biggest lead source? Like, where are you? Do you do any kind of marketing, and what kind? And where do you get? Where's the majority of your clients coming from?
Because I work with two separate niches. I work in the education world with educating PTs and how to do stuff, and also with the general population world. So all my clients come from in the PT education world for the different companies that I teach for. So I'll go and give a seminar, like online seminar, or do a podcast or whatever it may be, and I'll normally get 1 or 2 clients, and then it's a referral system from there. So like there's one company in Australia that does PT education. I think there's 5 guys who founded it. I trained 4 of the 5. So for everyone who studies with them, it's kind of like I'm the obvious choice to train.
Yeah.
Like you train with this guy, or I help them build their businesses. For in person, for general population, athletes, etc. It's purely from reputation and referral, word of mouth. This year, I am doing marketing more extensively through that, just because I'm at a point where we're pulling my wife out of her job totally to work on the business as well.
That's great.
We're just waiting. Like it's tax implications more so than anything else.
Yeah.
Reduce your tax as much as you can, right?
Absolutely.
So we are doing an Instagram we're doing Instagram marketing now where it's kind of like everything we do is basically taken from what we give our members regardless. So we're building a membership site with all this information that will give everyone they need to have. We basically just copy that, extract it, repurpose it, and modify it into marketing to push for Instagram, which is starting since we started doing that, and that's only been a week. We've been lucky enough to get 5 people. Is it correlation and causation? I have no idea yet. If it keeps on going, I'll assume it's causation. If not, then I'll say it's correlation, and we'll have to work on that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's all very interesting. Now, on your website, I noticed you have like different tiers. You kind of have different options. So I was just curious, like why obviously there's a big difference between if they have like a hybrid where you're doing the training and the online coaching, but even just the 2 lower tiers, where like which ones do people gravitate more towards? Like, and why did you even have tiered options?
Yep, I did the tier options. It's like a Frank Kern strategy, I think, from memory. So Frank Kern, Internet Marketing God. Basically, when I looked at it for the online stuff, like an in-person stuff for PT, it was kind of like a natural onflow from what I was doing with in the gyms with one-on-ones versus having a hybrid model where you'd see me once a month, and back in the day, I'd give someone a piece of paper, right? Or a folder with their program for the next 4 weeks. And then they'd see me one session every 4 weeks. So basically, I looked at the models and I was like, how can I scale as much as possible over like a 5-year time frame and not have to invest a huge amount of time into everyone? So with the models I came up with, the lowest tier in the model was $97, $100 a month, right? And that's basically, you get a program, you get access to the app. You don't get me doing check-ins or anything like that, but we're going to have a forum, website, home type thing with educational content. People can post their results, and it's got automated accountability in there. So automated, results, challenges, etc. So the reason I did that is if people have financial difficulties, if people aren't particularly sold on online training yet, if people are some people just do not like having accountability and having people follow them up, which I'm pretty good at. So with that, the reason I did that is the $97 a month isn't much for me, but isn't much for most people, let's be honest. But the amount of effort I need to serve one client is the exact amount of effort I need to serve 100 clients, which is the exact same amount of work I need to serve 10,000 clients. So the scalability of that is really, really high. The middle tier option is kind of like you get a video check-in per week and accountability and access to texting me, etc. throughout the app so I can answer questions. Of course, if people are over the top, I say you have to book a consult and pay for it, or I send them to the resources. That one has a pretty high scalability ratio. But if I sign like 3 or 4 people up for that in a week, it's a 10K jump in income. So it's worthwhile me doing that. And it's something that I can train someone else to do effectively. The higher tiered product is for goals that require the higher tier. So if someone wants to do a photo shoot with me, not with me, I don't take the photos. Someone wants to do a photo shoot, get on stage. I've got like people competing in like the international level in triathlons and competitive tough mudder races and adventure races and all that kind of stuff. Got a world championship in karate. Got someone prepping for that in August. They need high level of service, attention, individuality, and I guess care. So the higher tier option is for that. But what I want people to be able to do is to move between them as they see fit. That makes it easy. So if someone's going to do like a photo shoot prep with me, right? Cool. After the photo shoot prep, I don't know if you've ever done one, but you're gassed. Or comp on stage, you're gassed. You don't want to do that anymore. You want to take off the brakes a little bit so they can then drop back down into that middle tier. All the people in the lower tier, my goal is to push them up into the middle tier. So there's email sequences and automations there where offers will come in, where people will be able to push up and down throughout the tier. And the long term, well, depending on when my website decides to allow me to do it, which is this month, is to actually have that membership site extract like a third of it and use that as my free lead magnet. So when people get into that, they can get like a once-off program for free. They can get a whole bunch of education, but it's probably enough to get good results. But we know from working with people for a long time that unless someone's there or something's looking over you, it's not enough to get awesome results. So we want to basically once someone gets into that free product, then they move through those tiers. And the goal is for the tiers and the automations within that to become the selling tool rather than me having to get on the phone or the DMs to get people to do that. So that was my idea behind the 3-tiered system.
So is it safe to say that the lowest tier has the highest volume of client participants, and then maybe perhaps the middle tier, I'm just guessing, is probably your most gross revenue area?
Yeah, middle tier. Well, actually, middle tier is both. It has the highest volume and also the highest volume and the highest revenue. So the
That's great.
lowest tier isn't actually very, very high at the moment, which is I would like it to be higher simply because it makes it more worthwhile. And each thing's actually I've got a budgeted plan where each tier will cover a certain amount of costs. So the lowest tier should cover the cost of running the business entirely and wages after a period of time. The middle tier will cover something else. The highest tier will cover something else. So at the moment, the goal is creating all the content is to actually start filling that lower tier up.
Yeah.
In terms of time, I can maybe take on 2 more people because of all the mentoring students as well. I see, which are like calls like this. I can probably take on 2 more people. So that's kind of capped at the moment. The middle tier, I can take on more, but the lowest tier, I can take on umpteen, to the power of 10 more people. So that's where I want to fill at the moment.
Interesting. Well, I guess because your automations are so good, they're just driving people into that middle tier. You have to slow it down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a little bit like
most
that
people
sometimes.
want to get the lowest tier, graduate to the middle tier, and you're like a victim of the success, I guess. It's like so much success the way it's working.
It's good though. It's something I can't complain about.
What I just have like 1 or 2 more things, but like the app that you use, like to deliver the training programs, is it something that is it using one of the commercial brands, or is it something you developed on yourself?
Oh, yep. So I started off with Team Builder, and I've been using that for a number of years. I love Team Builder for strength and conditioning type programming, athletic development, and like higher level programming. It sucks for anything else. It sucks for accountability. It sucks for video feedback. It just sucks for it. But it's great for delivering programs to a whole bunch of people. So I'm currently in the process now of transitioning entirely over to Kahunas. So Kahunas is a new app. Kahunas,
Okay.
Kahunas.io, developed by Mark Covey Fox. He developed the app for John Jewett, a bodybuilding education coach, and I thought it was a really good app. And when I looked at Kahunas, it basically replaces Team Builder, it replaces MyFitnessPal, it replaces Loom, it replaces Messenger or WhatsApp for following up the clients. It's all in one place. So similar to, I think, Trainerize, but I think I just like how Kahunas fits better, and it allows you to rebrand as your own custom app for like, $100. So like, and it's cheap. There's no tiers to membership. It's like you pay it once because they're quite new. Let's keep it there. Stay there. Kahunas is my winner. So I've put all my check-ins, all my follow-up, and like if I'm doing a follow-up Loom call to a client where I'm telling them, like, cool, you did great this week, or this sucked, or whatever it is, it's all keeps it in one place for me. So back in the day in the gym when we were doing it originally with check-ins, we had 11 different pieces of software, which is just an absolute, like, I'm sure you've done it before, back before everything became useful, absolute nightmare, right? Now I'm down to I'll be down to literally 2, which would be Kahunas and Kajabi.
That's great.
So that for me works really well. And I'm in the process of building it out now for 2 companies I work with. And the reception from the clients has been nothing but it's easy.
That's great.
The only problem is transferring over like the 350 different programming templates I have across into it. It's an absolute pain in the butt.
But that's how are you going to possibly transition everybody over? It's going to be a pain in the neck.
Program templates, wait and do it slowly, bit by bit.
Do you so you mentioned Trainerize, and we use Trainerize, so I was just curious, like, what are the differences, or like how come you chose not Trainerize?
Trainerize, because a lot of the students I have used Trainerize because it is very, very popular. I just didn't love the layout and interface, and a few of the things that I wanted to do, it was like Team Builder, it didn't do. So how I had kind of set myself up was I was using Team Builder for programming, and that was great. And then I'd be using Google Forms for all the accountability and follow-ups. So I was like, I can't be bothered moving it because it's not going to give me the programming stuff I need and a little bit of that. So it's just missing like that, like 10 to 15% for me. Whereas I found with Kahunas, I was able to it was going to give 100% of what I needed. And when Kahuna's, because they're fresh and they're new, you can actually speak to the owner, the founder of the company, and request features. And I've seen people do it. I've seen them being put in like a week later. So for me, I was like, all right, cool. This is something that I can set up for myself now that currently will fit in. It basically fits the tiers as well. So in terms of the amount of check-in forms and stuff that you can do and the ease of it, I was like, this is a no-brainer. And it had endorsements from a few coaches I really respect. So I was like, you know what, I'll give that a crack. Nothing against Trainerize. It just seemed to work better for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Oh, last question, I promise. Last question.
Yeah, of course.
So what is your secret to client retention? Like what has been, I think I can almost answer it because some of the answers you've already given so far today. You've been super giving in all your comments, but like, it seems like you have great client retention as they're just sliding in and out of all the different products and you just keep growing, obviously. So it's another side of client retention, but what do you think is like, what are the main variables that you've employed that's helped you retain clients?
I actually gave a seminar, or a 6-part seminar not long ago on client retention. I had like 6 pillars of it, of client retention. Results is always a good one.
Yeah.
The reason I say results is a lot of people will always go, oh, it's community and all that kind of stuff. No one's filled in my intake form and said they're looking for a community. People love community. They love all that kind of stuff and they love being cared for. But if you went up to anyone and said, all right, cool, I'm going to make you feel really cared for, but you're going to lose muscle, gain fat, and feel like crap, or I'm going to treat you like crap and you're going to look amazing and feel amazing, what would you prefer? They're always going to prefer the results one. So results is good. Next one is onboarding. So speed of delivery, onboarding, speed of delivery, they're kind of like 1A, 1B. If someone gets onboarded and we reduce uncertainty at the beginning of the process, people stay on board. The reason I discovered that is when we were at the gym, we'd always get people start for 28 days. That was the initial period. I never sold it as 28 days only contract. I was like, you can quit at 28 days. It doesn't end. You can quit. You have that option. If people weren't onboarded fully by the end of week 2, they left.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple. They felt uncertain. They didn't feel comfortable in the gym. So online, I just kind of applied the same logic. If someone doesn't know how to use the app and how everything works by the end of, the first 3 days, they're like, I hate this. This isn't going to work for me. So you need to reduce uncertainty with onboarding and speed of delivery. If someone messages me and says, hey man, I'm looking for, like I had a client break her arm in the gym 4 days ago, right? She was doing something stupid, wasn't following my program at all, her fault. She knows it's her fault. She literally messaged me apologizing for what had happened. And I was like, it's okay. Like, we'll live. She's like, Paul, do you have anything for a broken bone protocol, like recovery? So supplements, foods that she can eat. I'm like, yeah, check your app. It was already in there. So that speed of delivery and predictability is really, really useful. Next one, accountability, giving people accountable systems, but accountability that's at the level that they're ready at.
Yeah.
So because I work with so many online coaches now, they are using Trainerize, and Trainerize has macro tracking tools, right? You can put your macros in, hit that. If you're a 62-year-old lady and you've never tracked macros before, and you're like, you don't know, have you seen the movie Mean Girls?
Yeah, exactly.
Is butter a carb? There's a lot of people who haven't eaten before, and they're like, oh, butter is butter a carb? Oh, these bars aren't fattening. They don't know. So we're getting to track macros, they get confused again. So making the accountability and the education relative to the client level so they feel confident. And then finally, just making sure that they feel like they can actually be heard. If someone has an issue with something that happens, I'll immediately accept responsibility for it if I've made a mistake, and go, oh, my bad, I'll fix that. And I will fix that day. I don't give a damn if it's, they've messaged me at 8 o'clock at night and I'm laying there, I'm exhausted I got a little 14-month-old, so running around her all day and working. If I've made a mistake, I fix it up and I'll say, thank you for pointing it out. Fix it. And people appreciate that. They go, wow, this person actually cares about this more than what they care about, just making money. So it results providing that accountability for that client and making sure the delivery and onboarding is super simple so people have no doubts. And then I have a few tips and tricks that I can use for easy things that trainers can do to increase retention very, very simply. But those things combined lead to a high degree of accountability. Last year, so only 4 days ago, I lost my first client for the year on the last day of the damn year.
Really?
I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated. And he quit because he had to bring on another employee in his business, which was going to cost him more money personally. So he had to cut down his cost. So he'll be coming back probably by around March. But I was so
You mean to
frustrated
tell me
because it
you
would have
didn't
been a
lose
perfect year.
any clients all year last year until the 31st?
The 31st. Yeah, it was very frustrating.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That
I had
is,
people go away, but they've all come back.
I didn't really do a whole lot of research for this podcast. I just had the feeling that you had, just by looking and reading some of the things that I did see, that it just felt that you had like really good client retention because of some of the things I've seen and you've done. But I did not know that, and that's just absolutely incredible. So that's amazing. You should
It
really,
was a good year.
that's a really good year. So this has been incredible. So much great information. You are really pinnacle of the online training market. So I really appreciate all of the stuff that you shared with us today. There's just so many
Thank you.
great little tidbits. I can't even begin to cite them all from this podcast. So really, I really want to thank you for your time and all the things you've shared with us. But I really, really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share something.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and good luck with 2023. Hopefully, you don't lose any clients this year.
Thank you so much. Me too. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.